Welcome to G Money Sports NFL Show Week 3. With me today, my friend Ronan. We watch Redzone together every Sunday. So I thought he'd be a good guest to bring in for our NFL show to go along with Wolfie on our college show. So Ronan, want to introduce yourself a little bit to the followers?
Well, my name is Ronan. I've been friends with Grant since our freshman year of college, so like 4 years now. I'm a Vikings fan. My life sucks right now, but I'll mention it later. But I think the Vikings could pull ahead in this week, so we'll see.
All right. So going forward in the show format, instead of just going through every pick on a card, I think what we're going to do is highlight like 5 or 6 games a week that we think are like the biggest games. Go kind of in depth about those, and at the end of the show, we'll both give our full cards and just like a brief run through those, and then give locks at the end of the show. So starting off, first game of the week we have mentioned here, got Washington's going to Buffalo. Buffalo is 7-point favorites. Over/under is 45.5. Any initial thoughts?
It's so hard with Buffalo this year. I mean, at the end of last season, I really thought Jared Allen was like a top 3 QB.
Josh Allen.
Josh.
Same thing.
Same difference. Well, it doesn't matter because he sucks right now.
He has been looking not great.
Stephon Diggs has not been getting any looks for them. Singletary had a really good game last week, but that was only because who'd they play? Whoever they played, their run defense was.
Last week was against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Beat them 35-0.
Yeah. So Singletary had a big game. Had him in fantasy. Had him on my bench. It was not fun. But I just really don't know with the Bills anymore. I do love the football team. Chase Young really leads that defense, so I think that he could really get them ahead. And I love Taylor Heineke. You know I love Taylor Heineke. He's pretty good. Did you see that catch from Scary Terry last week?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. He's really good.
Mm-hmm. He's an animal. So I really don't know about this game. What did you say the spread was? 7.5?
It's at 7 is what I had caught it at before the show.
I said football team plus 7.
Over/under 45.5 as well. You don't have to make a pick on both. Just
I like the football team plus 7.
Plus 7.
Yeah.
On this game, I kind of like the over 45.5. It's not on my card, but if I had to give a pick for this game, it'd be the over, just because last week that Thursday night game was 29-30 final score. Mm-hmm. Giants kind of ran it up on the defense. I know the front seven's really good. I think the secondary's been struggling, kind of coming to pass.
Yeah.
So I think Josh Allen might have a big game. I don't think Buffalo's defense is as good as it's looked week 2. I think the Steelers are really bad offensively. I don't think Miami is very good offensively. I think Washington's probably the best offense they'll face so far, and I think they'll have a pretty decent game. So if I had to pick something in this game, it'd be that over 45.5. But like I said, it's not on my official card for this week.
Gibson tore it up last week too.
Yeah.
He had 140 yards.
They have a pretty good between Gibson, McLaurin, and tight end Logan Thomas. They've been pretty good.
Don't forget about Taylor Heineke, bro.
Yeah, and Taylor Heineke's pretty electric. I'll give him that. Moving on, we have my favorite game of the week. Saints at the Patriots. The Patriots are -3 favorites. Over/under is 42.5. So I'll start off on this one. For my card, my pick, I thought about making this my lock this week, but I ended up going with something else I'll talk about later. I really like the team total under on the Saints for 20.5. For the first 2 weeks, the Patriots defense has only allowed 23 points, 17 week 1 and 6 last week. Jameis Winston's played in his career not very well against Bill Belichick, 0-2. Saints offense struggled last week with all their coaches out. They also had a lot of injuries and people on the COVID list. The team's really in a mess right now. I think offensively, they just haven't clicked and hit their stride yet, and it's going to be hard to get that going in Gillette Stadium against Bill Belichick. So that's my favorite play of the week. In terms of the -3 and under 42.5,
I like the -3.
I do like the -3. I like the under a lot of 42.5 as well. I think the Saints have a pretty good defense. They shut down the Packers week 1. Last week, they got kind of chewed up by the Panthers, but
last week, all their coaches were out, though.
Yeah.
Sean Payton's literally coaching like 8 positions.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell off last week. Just the team was such a mess.
I don't think the Saints win this game, though, personally.
No.
I think the Patriots are just operating on the same system they were when they or like Super Bowl contenders, but like 2 grades below on like all sides of the field.
No.
Like Mac Jones is just like a Walmart Tom Brady at this point.
Yeah, I think eventually, if you watch, I've been watching all the games, and it seems like the offense is really just like bogged down.
It's looking like it was before, but they just don't have as much talent as they used to have.
Yeah, there's definitely a talent gap.
They don't have a Julian Edelman. I mean, White's been really good in the backfield for but then Mac Jones is just, I don't know, it's like a clock in, clock out type of guy. He does what he needs to do. Nothing extra.
I think he'll become more electric the more he plays. Right now, he's pretty much just a dink and dunk game manager, which is fine. I mean, as a rookie, I don't think game manager is necessarily a bad thing. It's better than being, it's better than throwing 4 interceptions like Zach Wilson. So I'll take it. Moving on, next game, arguably probably the second biggest game of the week. Big matchup in the AFC West. We have the Chargers going to Kansas City and playing the Chiefs. Chiefs are 6.5-point favorites, over under 55.5. Initial thoughts?
See, it's tough just because I really want the Chargers to win just because of our roommate is a Chiefs fan, and we hate him. We hate how good the Chiefs are, pretty much. But I mean, the Chargers have played they played a pretty weird first 2 weeks of football. Where like kind of like the Bills, I can't really tell where they're at compared to last year because everyone. There's a lot of talk that the Chargers are going to get better in their offseason and be better this year just because Justin Herbert was a rookie last year. But, I mean, we haven't really seen any signs of a sophomore slump for him. Like, we have a lot of quarterbacks, like Jared Goff and them. But, I don't know, man. I have the Chiefs minus 6.5 in my card just because I think the game's going to be close, and then Pat Mahomes is going to score a touchdown at the end.
Yeah, so for me, I have 3 plays in this game. I have a lot of on my card. I feel like I see this game pretty well. I think the Chiefs ultimately might win this game, but I do think the Chargers cover 6.5. We're kind of going against each other for that one. I just think Chiefs defense can't stop anyone right now. They've just been run over the first 2 weeks of the season. I really like Eckler. Their offensive line for the Chargers is also pretty solid.
I'd say the really big factor in this game is just Eckler, if he plays good or not.
Yeah, and I think
that's really a big determinant.
I think their offensive line is going to hold up. Chiefs don't have anything crazy in terms of pass rush you got to worry about. So I think Herbert's a stud. He looked really good the first 2 weeks. So I like that plus 6.5. I like the over 55.5. Last year, albeit it was the last game of the season for the Chiefs, and they already had the first place locked up, but they gave up 38 points to the same Chargers team. The first game, Justin Herbert's first game starting for the Chargers, he put up 20 on them. So I think he's a lot more comfortable with the offense now, and I think they'll score at least 30. The Chiefs will probably score at least 30. I see this as a really high-scoring game. So I like the over 55.5. And then one player prop that I found is Austin Eckler's rushing yards, set at 58. Let me check. 54.5. Love that over. They've just been Browns destroying the run game.
I think their Chiefs are their defense is only going to look better from now on, though, because of Tyler Matthew.
Yeah. I still don't think they're very good, though.
I don't think they're very good, but they showed signs of being better last week, although they let the Ravens score, 30 something?
36, 35.
Yeah, even though they let them score a lot of points, they still showed signs. I mean, it's hard to keep Lamar Jackson's offense to that limited of points. But week 1, the Chiefs defense looked like dog shit against the Browns. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah, we'll see if they can pick it up. That's gonna be really key, I think, to them winning Super Bowl this year if they want to. They got to start stopping the run, especially in the playoffs. You're gonna be seeing the Ravens again, the Browns again, and if they get ran over like they did the first 2 weeks, I don't know if they can really beat them in the playoffs. And then moving on to by far the biggest game of the season so far. Got Tampa Bay going to the Rams. Tampa Bay is 1.5-point favorites, over under 55.5. When this line first came out, Rams were actually favored 1.5, but it's moved a full to Tampa Bay now being favored 1.5. What do you feel about this game?
Well, I have it in my, I have it in my card. I saw that the Rams were favored at first, and I saw they moved to 1.5, and put that on my card immediately because I'm huge on the Rams this season. I used to live in St. Louis, so I used to be a Rams fan until they abandoned us and moved to LA and became a Vikings fan. But yeah, I mean, I'm really high on the Rams. Frat Stafford, MVP candidate this year. I really like them. I really think I don't know. The Bucks have showed more signs of weakness this year than they did last year so far in the season.
Their secondary is pretty bad.
Yeah,
Got torched week 1, and then last week they made Matt Ryan look decent, and he's terrible.
Yeah, and you really can't give anything up to Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. They've been electric this year, and I don't know. The Rams just overall have been looking like a really good powerhouse team. They got a good O-line. They got solid running with Henderson and Brown, and yeah, I think they have top 3 defense in the league easily. So it's all on their defense and Aaron Donald in that front 7 to see if they can hold Tom Brady to probably like 300 or less, I'd say.
Well, I agree with everything you say. I really do like the Rams this year. I think they're going to be competing when it comes to the playoffs time. But that being said, I'll be taking the Bucks minus 1.5. I just think the Bucks week 1 looked really good. I think the Cowboys have come out and shown that they're really good this year.
Cowboys defense, offense has.
Offense has, and last week the defense held the Chargers to 11 points. I just think the Bucks are on a different level than any other team in the NFL right now.
Just popping off. Trayvon Diggs has been a dog this year.
He's pretty good.
He's been a dog this year.
Yeah.
That's really what's happening.
But yeah, I think the defense, that front 7 still is super scary. We'll see how the Rams O-lines hold up. It's an aging O-line. They've held up pretty good this year so far. That Colts game, I think it ended up being really close. I think if Carson Wentz ends up playing in the fourth quarter, Colts might have pulled that one out, personally. I think the Rams are going to be really good, and I'm super high on them this year. But you're going to be the Super Bowl champs who haven't lost yet, and going to be 1.5 on them. I'll take them until they prove me wrong. So I'm going to take the Bucks for this one. Moving on to Ronan's game of the week. Got the Seahawks traveling to Minnesota. Seahawks are 1.5 point favorites. Over/under is set at 55.5. I'll take this one first. When this first came out, I was really high on Minnesota. More and more I've been thinking about it. I'm not so sure. I think it's going to be a shootout, and it could go either way. And really, I think it's really going to come down to who has the ball last. So in terms of the spread, I liked it when it was at 2.5 for Minnesota plus. But 1.5, I don't love it as much, so I ended up taking off my card. I do like the over at 55.5. The Seahawks defense got ran all over last week when Derrick Henry had 170 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think Dalvin Cook plays, which all signs are pointing to. I think he will be playing. Yeah. And even if he is hurt, I think Alex Madison's a really good backup.
Madison can still push defense if he needs to.
So I think it'll be very high scoring. Minnesota secondary is garbage, unfortunately.
And with Pat Peterson out.
So Russell Wilson will probably go over the top a lot. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf get open. And it's going to be a really high-scoring game, probably both teams in the 30s. So my favorite play in this game is going to be the over. What do you think about your Vikings?
Well, I mean, my lock of this week is the over for this game, just because, I don't know, the injury list is really weird right now. For the Vikings defense could either be like absolute dog shit or kind of decent, just because Griffin is questionable, Patrick Peterson's questionable, Darius Shaw is questionable. Those are 2 big guys in our front 7, and then our only secondary threat pretty much besides Harrison Smith.
Yeah.
And Eric Barr is still out. Kendricks is still he's banged up a little bit. So our defense, that's why I like the lock, the over, just because Vikings defense, they're gonna let up at least 30 points to Russell Wilson, and the Seahawks defense is just not good either.
Yeah.
And last week, Kirk Cousins and the Vikings really showed good signs of improving offensively. I really thought that last week was one of the best games Kirk Cousins has played since he's been in Minnesota. And he's been in Minnesota for what, like 4 years now?
They should have won that game. 37-yard field goal. If you're an NFL kicker, you got to make that.
That was such bullshit. Kirk Cousins, that was maybe the best drive I've ever seen him come up with, was at the end of that game.
Yeah, I'm not a Kirk Cousins hater. I don't think he's that bad. I don't know if he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but he definitely, if you have a good team around him, he can look pretty good.
Well, I've always said that half of it is Mike Zimmer.
Yeah.
Because the coaches never set up Kirk Cousins for success. They always just run him stupid like bubble routes and screen plays and give him like one deep option every 4 downs.
Yeah.
And Kirk Cousins will only take that half the time, so giving it to him once isn't a very smart decision. But I mean, I really hope the Vikings don't go down 0-3 because play the Browns next week, and I really don't think that we can beat the Browns. If we do, it would have to be a really good game. So this is really our last chance to not just shit this season away at the beginning. So
it's a really tough 4-game stretch to start the season.
Well, the Bengals are not tough. We just suck.
The Bengals game, that just
sucked.
Both games, I mean, Bengals and Cardinals so far looked very good this year, and it's tough. It came down to a field goal and lose the Bengals in overtime. That's Minnesota sports, man. They just decide to lose games in the most painful ways.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Sunday night game, you got the Green Bay Packers traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. 49ers are 3.5-point favorites. Over/under set 50.5. Yeah, so I think, are we on opposite ends of this one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you want to go first on why you like the Packers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like your typical I hate all NFC North teams, Vikings fans. I mean, when we're playing them, fucking hate anyone who cheers for that team. But, I mean, I do like Aaron Rodgers a lot. I really respect him as a quarterback. And, I mean, week 1, his O-line didn't give him anything. And he didn't look that good either, to be fair. He looks like a homeless piece of shit right now, so that's probably half of it.
He needs a haircut, I will say.
He needs it. He needs a good mustache, dude.
Yeah, the mustache was a good
mustache was the gunslinger of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But, I mean, their offense last week showed real good signs of improving. I mean, they were playing the Lions, but...
Hard to tell when you're playing the Lions.
The Lions are... I mean, I like Dan Campbell. I think he plays a gritty defense no matter how bad they are.
It's the players right now.
They'll show you a tough time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they looked a lot better. Aaron Jones is a stud. Devontae Adams. The Packers just have so many weapons on offense they just don't utilize. I mean, they have what's their tight end's name?
Tonyan.
I love Tonyan a lot. He's a big dude.
He's a big dude.
He reminds me a lot of Kyle Rudolph, like when he was younger.
No, I see that.
They got Allen Lazard, they got Randall Cobb, they got Devontae Adams. They got so many threats on offense, but they just don't feel like they don't utilize them enough. I mean, they're just running like weird deep plays. I think if they ran more slant options with like Lazard and Cobb, it would really benefit them. Really take that high safety away. If Devontae Adams goes deep and then opens that slant up in the middle. But I don't know. The 49ers are weird. Almost all their running backs are gone, so I really don't think their offense is going to be that electric to watch. I mean, it already really isn't that electric to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's really all on the Niners defense this week if they can hold the Packers to like say under 30.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. I'm going to be on San Francisco, then 3.5. Thought about making this my lock, but I guess you guys will see that later, what my lock is later. Comes down to, for me, is in 2019 when the Packers and 49ers played, that defense, which is mainly the same as what it was back then, really gave Aaron Rodgers problems. They had a really good game plan to stop the Packers, and they destroyed them both in the playoffs and the regular season. It's at home. I mean, I know all the running backs are out, but I feel like with the offensive line and Kyle Shanahan on the offense, it's kind of a plug whoever you want in, and they're going to give you good yards, especially playing against the Packers defense that gives up about 4.5 yards a carry, which you can't do in the NFL. So we'll see. I do like the 49ers a lot. I do believe in Jimmy Garoppolo. I think people are trying to get off him too early. I think he's a proven winner.
He's definitely better than Trey Lance right now. I don't think Trey
Right now, I think he gives them the best chance to win. I think they're actually going to – they're one of my picks to make it pretty far in the playoffs. I think they can go back to the Super Bowl, personally. I just think the offense is – if they can get some running backs in there that are electric.
I think
Mostert's out for the year. I think he has a pretty bad torn ACL or something like that.
Poor dude, bro.
Yeah, he gets hurt every year. He always has like one big game, and then the next week he always gets hurt. And this sucks. Injuries are the worst part about football. But yeah, so I like that 49ers 3.5. And like I said, I think the San Francisco defense has Aaron Rodgers' number. So I'm going to take the Green Bay team total under 23.5 for that. I think they can keep Aaron Rodgers to under 20 for sure. Really like those two plays. Well, then we'll be moving on to the Monday Night Football game this week. Got the Eagles visiting the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites, over under 51.5. Got anything on this one right off the bat?
Definitely Cowboys, in my opinion. I mean, the Eagles don't look bad this year, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know much about the Eagles this year, just because they haven't really popped this year, in my opinion. I mean, Jalen Hurts. I mean, last week Jalen Hurts only threw for what, like 150 yards or something.
Yeah, no, he got shut down by the 49ers. I think week one everyone started freaking out about him because they destroyed the Falcons, but I think the Falcons might be
look any team look good.
Yeah, the Falcons may be the worst team in football this year. Then the Jacksonville, I think probably top two. Both sides of the ball, they're just really bad. So I don't think the Eagles' week one win looked as good as we thought it did originally. So I think people are a little too high on the Eagles. Also, the Cowboys.
Cowboys are dogs. I hate to admit it, but
no.
Their offense, I mean, they got Amari Cooper, they got Michael Gallup, they got CeeDee Lamb, they still got Zeke. I forget about Zeke when I'm watching them now because they're so pass heavy now.
Yeah.
Unlike they were like 3 or 2 years ago. And I think that's even better for Zeke, honestly, because he's not like, I don't think Zeke's like a top 5 back in the league. Maybe like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I don't think he is anymore. He's getting up there. He's been in the league for 7 years.
He's good. He's good when all the attention's not on him. Like, he can't handle the attention that's put on like Dalvin Cook or like Derrick Henry or like McCaffrey or Kamara. But when all the attention's on the receivers and when they're looking for that play action pass option and they just give it off to Zeke, I think you can get some good yards for them. And then Dak Prescott's just an animal. So I think the Cowboys could go far this year, but I mean, we'll see. Yeah, but I think they definitely win this game.
Yeah, I definitely like the Cowboys at home. I think last week they just showed that they're a really good team, beating the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a very good team, so it's a big win.
Yeah.
Week one, they were right there with the Bucs. Almost had them, just gave Brady too much time.
Yeah, right.
So I love the Cowboys this week, 3.5. I think it's going to be a pretty easy cover. I think they might beat them by double digits. I think their defense has improved. Their first-round pick, Micah Parsons. I know you're not a big college football guy, but he was by far the best NFL-ready linebacker, and he goes well with Leighton Vander Esch. He's been able to cover tight ends and running backs out the backfield, which I think was a lot of the problem last year, is they couldn't cover anyone besides they couldn't cover anyone. Their defense was terrible. So I think they're an improved unit. I don't think they're going to be any top 10. They'll probably be like a middle of the pack defense. But with how electric their offense is, and if their offensive line stays healthy, I don't think they need to be. I just think they need to be an average defense, and then Dak Prescott on the offense will take over. And
especially in the
NFC
East.
Yeah,
the NFC
not a very good division.
I mean, like I said, the Eagles we don't think the Eagles are going to go very far. And then the football team, I mean, they'll probably be like right over 500. I mean, I haven't really looked at their schedule, but
yeah,
I mean, that's just how I feel about like the talent they have and like how they utilize that talent. I think they could have been a really good team if Fitzmagic didn't get hurt, but what's he supposed to be back in like 6 weeks or something?
November, I think.
November.
So yeah,
I think he can get him a few wins in between then. So I think but the East is going to be easy no matter what. So I think the Cowboys could really need to utilize these games and just like stomp the hell out of their division rivals.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. So now moving on, went through kind of all the big games. You want to just run through all your picks for the week? Need to give a couple thoughts.
All right, so my lock this week is the Vikings Seahawks over 55.5. We kind of covered that earlier. I just like both those offenses a lot and don't like both those defenses a lot. So over is pretty set there, I think. I have the Browns -7. I mean, I've always been pretty high on the Browns the past few years, but I really think that they're finally showing signs of being a consistent team because that's always been a thing they're lacking. Baker's showing more maturity than he ever has this year, just within these first 2 weeks. Like last week when he popped his shoulder out of place, hanging it down to the sideline, pops it back in, goes in, scores a touchdown, easy. And then I have the Ravens -8. Who are the Ravens playing again? Lions. That's just easy, honestly. With Lamar Jackson's offense, I mean, unless Dan Campbell comes up with some kneecap-biting stuff, then I don't know if the Lions can really even compete with the Ravens. Then Cardinals -7.5. I forget who all these teams are playing.
Jaguars.
They're playing the Jags. In my opinion, that's an easy pick because the Jags probably couldn't even compete with like a high college team right now with how they're playing.
Yeah.
And I like the Cardinals a lot. And then I have Chiefs -6.5, but I mean I'm kind of iffy on that now that I've been thinking about it a little more. And then I have Falcons +3 against who are they playing? The Texans, the Giants. I really don't think I'm not that high on Daniel Jones anymore. I know you kind of are, but I mean last week he played better, but week 1 he played like absolute shit. And I mean the Falcons are a bad team, but I think that with what they have, I like Calvin Ridley a lot. He's a dog on offense. Then they have Kyle Pitts, who's only been getting better these first 2 weeks, and then Matty Ice, he'll give you what you need, not more than you need though. It's all on the Falcons defense whether they win that game. I mean, the Falcons will always put stuff up offensively, just like they'll put up like 20 points at least usually. And then I was thinking about this for my lock, but I decided not to. I have Broncos-Jets over. I've been big on the Broncos this year. I love Teddy Bridgewater a lot. That's really it. He's been an absolute animal this year for them, and I think that the Broncos have really surrounded him with really what he needed. He's played good for a lot of teams, but I think the Broncos is definitely where he feels most comfortable in his situation. They have a good O-line. Once Jerry Jeudy comes back, they'll end there at full force. They'll be a real big threat in this league, I think. But I mean, I think they're going to clobber the Jets.
Yeah.
I think they put up at least 30, and I think the Jets will. I think the Broncos will let the Jets put up 10. I mean, the Jets are trying to figure it out with Zach Wilson, and obviously the 4 interceptions last week was.
Can't play much worse than last week.
Yeah, exactly. I think last week he was playing against Belichick.
Yeah.
The Broncos don't have Belichick, so I think that Zach Wilson will play a little better this week, and it'll go over 40. 41.5 is the over, which is pretty low. So that's why I like it a lot. And then my last one is if Wentz is playing. So the Colts are I keep forgetting who they play.
The Titans.
So the Titans are -5.5 against the Colts. I think if they haven't said anything about Wentz yet, he's still questionable, and the line might change whenever they announce it. But right now, if Wentz is there, I like +5.5 for the Colts, and if he's not, then I think it's -5.5. And this is all based on the Titans' just god-awful defense, because I think that the Colts' defense is by far good enough to hold the Titans to between 20 and 30 points, if even 20, because the Colts have some dogs back there on defense. But I just don't think the Colts could put up enough points to beat them with their backup quarterback is a rookie.
Yeah, no.
And I really don't think that he can put up any points.
He didn't look very good last
He looked bad in the fourth quarter last.
It looked pretty bad. It was a tough spot to throw him in, but he didn't look great.
But yeah, I don't. If Wentz is playing, I think Wentz can produce enough. I mean, he's got kind of a good offense. I mean,
They were playing good last week against the Rams until he went out. So yeah, I don't hate that pick by any means.
yeah. So if Wentz is there, I like the Colts. But I mean, I don't know. We have a Titans fan buddy, and I mean, the Titans are good, but they're just so good on one side of the ball and so bad on the other side of the ball. So
rough on defense.
They're really hard to pick up against, but it all depends on the other team's defense, honestly.
Yeah,
because whoever the Titans play, they're going to let up a lot of points. So.
All right, I'll move into my card. I also have the Cardinals -7. Same reasons Ronan talked about. Jacksonville's awful. Cardinals also didn't play great last week on defense. I think their defense is going to come out and be pissed off if they let up 33 points to the Vikings, and I think they're going to play it pretty well. So got that. Indianapolis and Tennessee. I have a halftime, full-time bet. This is one of my favorite bets in football, really. So you take the halftime, who's going to be winning at halftime, and who's going to be winning at the end of the game. So I have Titans to win wire-to-wire, halftime, and full-time. I don't think Carson Wentz is going to play, and if he does, I think he's going to be banged up a little bit. I think the Titans at home will be leading wire-to-wire, so that's why I like that one. Ravens at Detroit. I have Ravens first half, -5.5. This is all dependent. There was a report today from Adam Schefter that Lamar wasn't at practice because of a hip injury.
CD flip.
Yeah, when he flipped in the end zone, apparently he kind of injured his hip a little bit. If he's not playing, scratch this from my card. If he is playing, I'm going to run all over Detroit.
Is still RG3 in the back?
No, he's signed a deal with ESPN to be a media announcer, yeah.
That's sick.
I don't even know who their backup is.
I'm going to look it up. I want to see.
Yeah.
Because what if it's like...
If it's still Trace McSorley.
What if they picked up Blake of the Year?
I don't even know who their backup is. So next up, Saints at Patriots. Like I said, I have the Saints team total under 20.5. Chiefs, Kansas City, over 55.5. Chargers +6.5. Austin Eckler over 54.5 yards rushing. I have Pittsburgh -3 at home versus Cincinnati. Even with TJ Watt out, I like the defense to just shut down Joe Burrow. In his game he played against Pittsburgh last year, he just didn't have any time. The defense was all over him. I think Cincinnati's defense is pretty bad. I think the Steelers can get their offense rolling, even if Ben Roethlisberger isn't playing. I like that -3 a lot. Atlanta at New York Giants. I have the Giants -3. We talked about this kind of when Ronan was going through his picks. He's not a huge Daniel Jones guy. I still believe Daniel Jones. I think he can be good, given enough time on the offensive line. I don't think the Falcons have a great pass rush, which is what really hurts the Giants. So I think the Giants at home recover 3 points. They should have beat Washington. It was a very close game. Same thing. It came out of the wire. So I think Atlanta is just a terrible team. And my -3 on the road just – moving on to Dolphins. They're going to Las Vegas at 3.5. Tua is out this week. So in comes Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett,
No.
not very good. I used to watch him in the Patriots. He was
Walmart, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, he's just doesn't do anything very well. He's got a strong arm. He's okay at
He
running.
can hawk the ball. But
Yeah, but no, the Raiders looked really good.
he really the Seahawks.
I think the Raiders at home, 3.5, coming off 2 big wins. I think they have a good defense this year, and I think their offense is good as well. Moving on, Tampa Bay at the Rams. Already talked about this one, Tampa Bay, Rams. I have the under 55.5. I think 2 of the top 5 defenses in football is just a lot of points at 55.5. I like the under a lot. Green Bay at San Francisco. I got San Francisco -3.5. Already talked about that one. Also the team total under 23.5. And now we go to my lock of the week. This week, this will be kind of a fun one. It's my primetime parlay. So I have the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. So if you take the 49ers and Cowboys money lines, parlayed, it's +135 on the money line. I just think there's no way that one loses. I think both the 49ers and the Cowboys run away with those games. I don't have it on here, but I am adding Cowboys minus 3.5. I think I just forgot to write it down, but yeah, they'll be on there as well. So those are my picks. We'll have them posted on Twitter, Facebook, both of our picks. You can follow along. Yeah, it should be a fun week.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of big games this week. So
Tonight's going to be a good game.
tonight will be a game. I like St. Darnold's over passing yards. I think.
Oh, yeah. Lock of the week is the parlay, the 3-leg parlay. You go over, no. The Panthers minus 7.5.
Mhm.
Sam Darnold over 250 passing yards, then CMC to score once.
Yeah, I like the Panthers a lot. They've looked really good. It is an away game. Could be a letdown spot Thursday night, but we'll see. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to come back next week.
Peace.